G'day guys, I'm back. 2 weeks post Myriad Live, I have with me the founders of Myriad, and that is Martin Telvari and Murray Galbraith. Welcome guys.
Hey, how are you?
G'day.
So, we're sitting here just Tuesday after Easter, and it's been the most amazing, weather we've had here on the Gold Coast. It's absolutely probably one of the best Easter weather we've ever had in Queensland, I could say safely. And who would have thought that 2 weeks ago we had one of the worst cyclones ever hit, and that was right smack bang when Myriad was running. What a challenge. I want to start with that because that has to be one of the biggest challenges that anyone running an event, live event, has ever had to overcome. Just the looks on your faces. How did you go? How did you go? How did you get through that?
All the hard work aside, I think we've said it a few times that it was a very unique gift for us to work through, despite a lot of sacrifices, a lot of missed opportunities, missed connections, missed sessions, and VIPs flying in for 30 hours to only hang out and go back home. It's a story.
Yeah, it's definitely a story. It's nice to be able to talk about it in past tense now.
Sunny day.
There's a few things that came out of it. I think one of the strongest things for us by far was how well the team pulled together. Working in events, building off the model in Slush and South by Southwest and many other landmark major events that we've taken inspiration from. You have a core team, you train them, you empower them as best you can, and then you've also got, hopefully, if you do your job right, a strong enough brand that attracts an army of volunteers. And the weather was so bad that half, maybe even 2/3 of our volunteers couldn't even come in the day when it was bad. When the police shut down all the schools across the country, half our attendees and half the staff from the venue couldn't come, and there was so much that went wrong in that. But what it did is it creates a bonding experience, which you couldn't possibly script. We couldn't have hoped for something that bad, and yet the outcome's that strong, that unique. So yeah, it's part of folklore. It's nice that it's over.
Well, what's really cool about it, you mentioned Slush, that in Helsinki it's a disaster every day like that. There's a cyclone every day like that. Mikko Hyppönen, the F-Secure guy, one of our speakers, he landed. It's like, guys, what's the problem?
Yeah.
That's our summer, and I don't want to underestimate the impact of it was a bad cyclone, yes, for sure. But when what really brings the people together at Slush is the exact brand. It's cold, it's dark, nobody wants to come to Helsinki, only you badass. And we got the opportunity to bring out the badass from everyone with this cyclone. Yeah. So we've been talking about modeling around Slush, and we got the Slush.
Yeah, thanks Finland. It's funny, there was I actually got hit up by a few people who have backgrounds in PR and comms and whatever, but there was one in particular that came up and spoke to me. I think she's maybe even a teacher. She's been teaching PR and comms for a long time, and she said, so in our textbooks we have a worst possible case scenario for all our kids to learn and model on what they would do if their event or their idea or their project launched during a cyclone. You guys have actually done it, and it turns out that, according to her, in her sort of humble opinion, we would have got an A+ from the way that we handled it, from taking the best of the day before and sort of really trying to turn it into content and make people feel safe, but also excited about what's coming and all that stuff. So I think for me that's the biggest outcome, is that wasn't us. That, like, there's no two ways about it. That was not Martin and I. We were there doing the best we could to look after the people who were there and make sure they felt informed. But we had a ton of really important decisions that we had to make at the top, and stay in contact with the Minister's office and Queensland Police, etc. What we are really, what I'm incredibly proud of is that we had done the work early enough to build a culture where in 6 months we basically hustled together a team, an office, a company, an event, which was able to switch on a dime and go, no, we can handle this. And they worked through the night to make that happen.
I almost, like, I feel guilty, and I know this was our job to make our guests feel great and hang out with us and all that, but the incredible trust for the team that while we are entertaining our guests, the team is making everything work. And then you sort of rock up there in the morning having 3 hours slept of entertaining everyone, and then everything's perfect, and I was like, wow, guys, that's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, if there's any big outcome, if there's any lessons to be learned here, it's not like this is how you talk to the Queensland Police, or this is none of that stuff. That's all just circumstantial garbage. It's put the time and effort in to build a culture in your organisation which will allow them to take over, so that you can get out of the way, so that maybe it's not a cyclone, maybe the boss has a heart attack or whatever it is. Like, that could have been anything, but they just stepped in and took full control, and that allowed us to, make sure that everyone still felt like they were part of it. We didn't have to disappear and try and hustle and do whatever. So anyway, enough about that.
No, that is right. Enough about that. I think what I wanted to take was a lead in to, I guess the entrepreneurship. It was
shit, by the way. Like, it was shit. It sucked. It really sucked.
It did suck. And look, I saw the looks on your faces, and and I even saw Murray, meditating in a corner for a little while. You guys needed that time, obviously, to clear your brains, and it was a serious struggle that you had to get through. But what I noticed happen while that storm was occurring, and I wasn't looking at you guys, I wasn't looking at the stress faces, I was looking at the attendees, and we were interviewing them, and they were hustling. They were hustling, like they felt like the conference was over before it even began. And they were networking and deal making like they'd never done before. And they were saying that on camera, like they were coming up, because we were going, well, we've got to hustle too. Our goal was to shoot 40 videos. We ended up doing 56, right?
It's 200, isn't it?
No, 56. Oh. Yeah, that's enough, man. I don't need to do 200. But they were coming up, and they were going, wow, this is. We don't care what's happening outside. We care what's going on inside. And I think you just had an environment that was created, be it storm or not, that you had amazing people in the room, and they were prepared to take on anything. And I don't know, is that entrepreneurship, or is that just what entrepreneurship's all about? It's about pivoting when you need to pivot, and
like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. Your money's running out.
yeah.
We not sure if you came across the great video that our friends at that startup show put together. They were filming upstairs behind the scenes in speaker room, and doing some really. They always do cool stuff. Anna and Ahmed, who were kind enough to do present one of the sessions, but they're also really great filmmakers as well. And they quickly put together a series of interviews around the question, what happens when shit hits the fan? And it really did hit the fan. Like, there's no question. It smashed us. But also, that's events. Like, I mean, something always goes wrong. Like, we lost a former president at one of our events last year. Just disappeared at the airport. Like, that's things go wrong. Like, happy. Yes. So. Yeah. But yeah, perfect. All good. But the thing is, what we have done, people kept saying, like, why is this different? Why would anyone come to Myriad over another event, or why should we hang around after the rain or whatever? It's because we did everything we possibly could to not focus on entrepreneurship, because other events can do that better with bigger budgets and, you know, focus on startups and funding rounds or whatever. Like, personally, I don't give a shit about that. It's about empathy, because it doesn't matter what your product is. It doesn't matter what your company's about. If it's not designed to be bought or used by humans, then it's probably not going to do all that well. And therefore, if it doesn't have empathy at its core, then it's probably not going to find an audience or be able to pivot, really. Like, I mean, you might find the right audience first, and then maybe they change, and you're just stuck like, man, I don't understand. Like, why have my customers disappeared? If you're only focused on logistics or production, then you can have a great, extravagant product or event or idea. But without the heart, like, it doesn't matter. And so we don't curate, you know, we curate speakers and attendees the same way. It's about having people that will really add something to the event, regardless of whether they're on stage. And I think that really showed.
All right, so let's get out of serious stuff and get out of the past a little bit. Where to from here, guys? I mean, you know, you've learned a lot, I suppose, and now there's Southeast Queensland's your oyster. You know, you're here for you're here for 9 more years, right? 9 more years. What now?
I would say we have to repeat it once again. Otherwise, it's just luck, or it's just, you know, anyone can put on an event once. If we can repeat success, then we're on a path to success, like the real success. You need to have the two points to get the direction. And I think you said it in a way with the skateboarding, that was it your uncle or your dad said, oh, if you can't do your trick twice or 3 times, then you haven't learned it. So that's the same.
My
same
little
way.
brother always said, if you can't land it 3
yeah.
times in a row, then it's just a fluke. And if you land it twice and screw it up, then you got to start again. So we don't want to start again.
No,
we landed once, so, you know, we got a long path, a growth trajectory to nail, and that takes, you know, people think events happen, you know, really quickly. They don't. They take a huge amount of time and money and effort.
Yeah, I actually think that now we have even harder challenge than making the first one, because making the first one, you have this little bit of space to go smaller and say, yeah, that's exactly how we planned. But the second one, now we have expectations. We have
It's the difficult second album.
it's a difficult second album, exactly. It's difficult. So we landed this one spot, and where are we going to land the second one?
Yeah.
That's harder.
Yeah. So we've got a ton of questions that we've been asking ourselves from day one, which, you know, sure, like, we always wanted to put on a cool event and whatever, but, like, this has always been about a 10-year plan. And that requers a ton of nice weather and, you know, chilling. Yeah.
Bring it on.
Finland do it every day.
Yeah. Like, it's pretty nice having, you know, a strategy session. The kids are in school, and, you know, just like, we were fortunate enough to get the whole team away up to the sunny coast last week, and you know, hoping to bring them down here to the Goldie, you know, at some point. And just, like, it's pretty special to be able to run a business in paradise. It sucked that, you know, we didn't get to showcase that weather, or
No, I know. I'm with you. You know, like, it's one of my pet hates when you have international guests, and even yourself, Martin. You know, like, when you're here, I want to show you the best of the place, not the worst. But, you know, there's some good stuff comes out of that too. You know, the bonding. You know, and the pivoting, and you do some different stuff that maybe you wouldn't do normally. Yeah. So on that, you've just been to the sunny coast with the team. That's great. You're back here on the coast. What's the favourite beach? What's your favourite beach so far, Martin?
Well, I have to say, I bought my first surfboard 2 days ago.
Hey.
So
Look
I
out.
started surfing now here. We call it the Rocks. Terrified of waves.
Burley Heads.
Yeah, Burley Heads here. First took my board there and just holding it, maybe knee-deep water.
Did you go this weekend? Just gone?
2 days ago.
The surf was huge.
Yeah, that was pretty big, man.
I was scared. I was very, very scared.
Awesome.
Try out the big stuff first. Nice one.
I was really, really scared. Even at the store when I was buying the board, I was, guys, I'm really, really I'm scared of waves. I grew up in waves like this big. It was really, really hard, but I need to get over that fear.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I bought my first. I grew up in a family of surfers, but I was always the skateboarder. I'm terrified of the waves as well, but got a board purely after Myriad because I'd sort of lost all feeling in my body. I was completely numb and had no idea what I was doing myself, so I bought a board and scared the crap out of myself and really enjoyed it.
A skateboard or?
No, surfboard. Yeah, I got a mini mal.
Right.
But I was not going to go out and anything north of 6
So
foot.
where's the which beach are you making a beeline to?
I'm really enjoying Palmy at the moment, actually. Down just some of the off, I don't know, the avenues down there at Palm Beach, and like you can't go past like Coolangatta. Like there's some really special spots that aren't named beaches. Like just to be out there by yourself and go, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm not scared to just give it a crack. It's pretty special.
What this surfing is teaching me at the moment is funny. We were talking about before the sort of the facing the hard things, and it sounds a really ridiculous cliche.
Do something every day that scares you.
Exactly. Because then you go back home and like, so what was the hard thing again? Do we need to talk about?
Totally.
Because I just surfed that wave. I mean, guys, bring it on. Yeah.
This is a guy, like, not many people know this, but because Martin was on the road for 4 or 5 years or whatever, like setting up tech events all over the world, he was scared of flying, and it was just, and he pushed through it because the journey and what it meant so much to him to sort of get places and the actual process of setting up the events. But every time he'd be listening to his freak out mixtape and whatever, and it was amazing to watch that and go far out. Like most people think that traveling the world and setting up events all over the place just sounds like a dream, but it was a friggin' nightmare in many ways.
When we flew with this tiny little propeller plane to Amsterdam or something, and I'm just like bringing those tiny little...
We flew out of his hometown, Tallinn, for Amsterdam, I don't know, 2 years ago or whatever, and he was...
It's like this tiny one.
We found this, it was like in Australia it'd be like a box of candy, like a big box of lollies, but it was like little bottles of alcohol in the airport. You sort of walk through and they're just like, I don't know, 5 for $12 or something, like 5 for $5 or something. And he like did a few of those, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, "Okay, I will see you soon." And like puts his headphones on, head down. Right. I got photos of him, and he just had to get in the zone. And this was a tiny little like twin propeller plane, and we were flying in crazy storm and whatever. Like Cyclone from Myriad was bad. I feel like we've done it already. Like we've been hammered over the last few years, but. Yeah, just incredibly grateful for everyone coming down and really getting into it. Like there was nobody. Like I think we had maybe 3 or 4 people out of 2,000 plus ask for a refund, and that's because they just simply couldn't get there because their kids were the schools were shut down or whatever. Nobody sort of got upset. Everyone was leaning in and really trying to make sure it was the right thing for the community and the right thing for Queensland, etc. As Martin said before, I mean, we had at least two or three headliners fly in, do something like north of 20, maybe even north of 30 hours travel each way to be there for 12 hours to present at Myriad. And this thing blew it up. They couldn't speak. So rather than let him go back, we basically, or let him, miss out on that. We spun up a little party at Joseph Mark in the city and like a few other sort of little pop-up spots, and just got them to present to anyone that was walking past. And, they loved it, and it meant the world to us, and, the audience was right into it. That sort of stuff doesn't happen at a marketing conference or a tech conference, That happens at Myriad because we really want everyone to have a great time.
I want to say also that to set the expectations that we we continue to experiment. If everyone now saw what we did the first time and okay, we're going to repeat the exact same thing next year, then we may, but we may not. I mean, we may grow 5 times, we may grow twice, or we're still experimenting a lot.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard for most people to really understand, like what is Myriad. Like to us, it's an experiment. It was always designed as that. Will people come to Brisbane to experience something? A mixture of technology and culture and tech and startups and all that stuff. They clearly will. It's not about like a city thing, a Melbourne or a Sydney or a Gold Coast or whatever thing. It's like you want to go where good people are going and where it feels like you want to catch the right wave. And like you can have all the skills in the world, but unless you've got really good wave choice and patience and momentum and whatever, like you want to be there at the right time. And I think we're really fortunate that Queensland's time is definitely now. There's no question. Australia's time is now.
The time has come.
Yeah,
the time has come for sure. We've talked a lot about the unique position of Australia being remote, where the whole world is going crazy, and then this is the place now happening.
So with all the internationals in the room, was that a shared sentiment? Like
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They, I mean, in the room is one thing, but when we took them up to the coast afterwards and had this little, sort of koala hugging.
Yeah, Anouk got to cuddle a koala, did she?
Oh, I think we at least got 5 of our speakers changing their profile, which is in Facebook with the koala one, as expected.
If there's a modern metric for success, it's like we had like people who helped build the platform or who like are pretty significant within the tech sort of world, up changing their profile photo to the whole world, saying I hugged a koala, and that was because of this event at this time, and whatever. Like that's pretty special. But every one of them is like, maybe not every one of them, but pretty close. It'd be pretty close. Almost every single one of our international guests are now considering or have committed to basically bringing their business here, hiring extra people, investigating investment opportunities all up and down the coast. Brisbane, I think, will do incredibly well out of it, but it's not about that. It's about Australia getting its time. It's got to be bigger than that.
I really want to make that or talk more about the whole offline experience. And I realized, speaking with another guest of ours, when they realized when they were talking about their investment strategy, that we want to help the next generation moving. When they grow up on the internet, they want to find offline experiences. This is Binary Capital, Jonathan Teo, he's talked about this, and he believes that these kind of events help create these physical experiences. When we grew up online, and we grew up offline, building tree houses and skateboarding and all that, surfing, and then internet happened, and we were finding our tribes, our channels, our Instagrams and everything, and connected there. So now this may go reverse, and next generation kids want to find the physical experiences outside, and then that's where all these remote, exotic, quality places like Australia are going to be shining. So the time has come for Australia.
So next year, people, for an offline experience, Martin's going to be teaching you how to surf on the Gold Coast.
Yep.
Maybe Murray.
Oh, no.
That would be the blind leading the blind, leading the idiotic. That would just be shameful.
Hey, look, there's plenty of pro surfers around here, so I'm sure we'll be able to bring them in,
I'm pretty sure we can convince. Mick Fanning nearly came. I think hopefully he can come along. Sure. There are so many clever, amazing people here. You do not want us teaching you anything.
We can teach you something else, but not that. Yeah.
We'll teach you how to put on an event in a cyclone.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we've got time for today, guys. Follow us at Beach City Live on Facebook. Plenty more chats like this to come. I think we've just like these guys have shared, there's a lot of great people here worth talking to, and these are stories worth sharing. Make sure you got a balance in your life, and I think these guys have bought their surfboards, trying to get that balance back after a massive 2 weeks they've just had. So we'll see you again soon. Make sure you're listening in. Cheers.